Everyone on Instagram, we're going to give this a minute to let some people log on before we get started. See, how are we doing here? All right, everyone tuning in through TikTok, can you give me a thumbs up? Let me know if you can hear me and see me all right. Same thing on Instagram. If I can get a thumbs up, let me know you can hear me and see me all right. That would be great. Thank you, TikTok. All right. YouTube and Facebook. Good to see you guys. Same thing there. If you guys could let me know that you can hear and see me all right, that would be really helpful. Christina Hernandez. Excellent. I got a thumbs up. We are good to go. So welcome, everyone. This is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the three truths. That is intuitive intelligence, numerology, and astrology to assist you in staying on your life path, to coming from a place of integrity and strong character in your life, and ultimately being able to go out there and assist others in their own journeys. So I am here with Reverend Christina DelRey, our astrologer. How are you, Christina? You're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm great. Thanks.
Perfect. So Christina is going to be doing most of the talking here tonight. I am your pastor, Ivy Rivera, psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk, and I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where we train people internationally in everything ranging from psychic mediumship development to tarot, astrology, Reiki, paranormal work, empathic work. We train children as well as adults. So check out the classes. The next psychic mediumship course starts October 12th. And it is in person for the first time in about 4 years, as well as online. And we are evergreen. So if you don't want to wait, if you don't want to necessarily join with a group, you just want to do your own thing, you could do that anytime. But if you do want to join us for the psychic mediumship course, you're going to need to register by October 6th. Now, we also have a raffle running for that. You can win free tuition, a $2,100 value. So get your raffle tickets up on the website, ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. We also have Christina's Astrology Basics, the Big Three class, available up on the website, ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com, and her Art of Tarot training, which is going to teach you not only in the traditional method of reading the cards, but also in the intuitive method, which assists you in evolving up to mediumship, okay, which is most people's ultimate goal. So check it out. All right, looks pretty good. Got a few people here, a few people here. All right, if everybody could please give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment, subscribe, always appreciated. Donations are appreciated. And if you are having any trouble hearing Christina, switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. All right. And then you'll have the full screen with her here. Again, that's YouTube at Ask Ivy if you want a better connection to be able to hear Christina tonight. So today's sermon is Eclipse season, what to expect. Now, Christina, I know that eclipse season is a big deal. I know that you, as well as many other astrologers, start talking about this a while before it arrives, because the influence is a bit before and it's a bit after. And you're always trying to give me a heads up on what's about to come. But, today we're going to break it down for each sign, for each zodiac sign. And we're going to break down a couple different, eclipses that are coming up for eclipse season. So I have just a couple questions for you. So one of them is, who's going to get hit the hardest with some of these eclipse impacts? And if you could also explain to everybody what exactly an eclipse is.
Sure. Well, scientifically, a solar eclipse is when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. And the lunar eclipse, it's when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow. So basically, something's being blocked at each time, and when that happens, it's similar to like a cosmic reset. It's like the reset button. So it's almost like unplugging your computer, waiting 10 minutes, and then plugging it back in. It's just like resetting the whole, the whole field. And the ancients knew this. They knew eclipses were big deals, and that, big things happened in eclipses. And even though we can't see the eclipse, because the eclipses aren't always here, they might be partial, they might be in another country that you can see them, but they still affect us tremendously. And it's actually really good that we have eclipses, because they actually like get us out of our rut. They get us to change. Everything would stay the same if it wasn't for, the energies pushing new in the next. And, we have to continue to evolve. The nodes are involved, and the nodes are where we are going as a society, and where we have been. So the nodes are always moving. And when they align with the sun, moon, and earth, we get an eclipse. And they're extremely just important for humanity. They symbolize the evolution of humanity. As above, so below. We have to remember that, what is happening down here is reflected in the heavens. It just goes together. And eclipses really break us out of our old patterns, move us into the new and the next. If we didn't have these energies, we just wouldn't grow.
Now, is that why a lot of people refer to it as being the Tower card in tarot, the equivalent of?
Yeah, like I would say eclipses give like that Uranus energy, like that surprise. You really can't predict what's going to happen during an eclipse. Because they're just very unpredictable. They're like a wild card. And, but they also revolve around bigger themes. So for instance, we're finishing up the Taurus Scorpio themes, and now we're into the Libra themes. So there's always so much going on astrologically. So, while we're finishing up one, we're beginning another. So it's like it doesn't really have a chance to, breathe.
I've noticed.
Yes.
Right.
What was your other question?
The other question was, who is going to be getting hit the hardest?
Okay, well, so these eclipses, we have two of them, and they always come in pairs as well. So we get a solar and we get a lunar, and sometimes through like the year we can get up to 6 of them. This year we had 4, and next year we have 4. So I think it was like 2020 that we had 6. I can't really remember. I have to go back. But we, like major action happening. But eclipses are portals as well. And the veil gets thinner. So you might get messages that come through easier. The particular eclipses that we are talking about happen this month in October. And the first one happens on October 14th. So that's a solar eclipse, but it's a south node eclipse. So when that happens, it usually, it has to do with like a beginning and an end. So it'll get interesting, but it's in Libra. And I think we had one Libra eclipse last year. So we just kind of started this whole Libra journey. And so the ones that will feel, this one the most, the first one that's coming, that's going to be Libra, Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer. Anybody with those placements. And, if you know your chart, look at 21 degrees Libra and see if anything is close, anything is squaring it. Anything at like around 21 Capricorn, 21 Aries, 21 Cancer is also going to feel it as well. The second eclipse is October 28th, and that is when we are finishing up the Taurus lessons. And the ones who will feel that one the most, that one's at, I think it's at 5 degrees. Yeah, 5 degrees Taurus. So anybody with 5 degrees in either Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, or Leo would feel that one more than others.
And these run on 18-year cycles?
Yeah, so like if you think back, if you're old enough, if you think back 18 years ago, what you were doing, and it was probably a really big time for you, if you are a Libra, then 18 years ago, you think about, what was I doing? You know, what was I concerned about? And usually the same themes will come up. It won't come up in the same way. It might, if you haven't learned your lesson, because some of the things did come up for me. I just, you know, I like when you have things in your signs and things like that, you're like, oh yeah, kind of remember that, kind of didn't learn that lesson, got to learn it again this way, you know, and that happens. But also to look deeper into, and you also are setting your basically, especially if you're a Libra, like you're kind of setting your life for the next 18 to 20 years. So it's important when they're in your signs, you know. So Aries and Libra, the eclipses are going to be in their signs this year, this upcoming, in 2024. We do have one in Pisces too. So then it's going to move to Pisces, Virgo. So it's going to be, these are where the lessons are, you know, the big shifts and changes. And if you're a Libra, I would find it really hard to believe you didn't feel any of that, you know what I mean? Or, you know, Aries by the time it's over. So these, you know, like these are karmic doorways. You got to think about eclipses as like karmic doorways. They're trying to put us back on our path. We did come here for a reason. Ivy does life contract readings. And this is major, you know, when the eclipses are in your, I would not be surprised, and you and I have never really sat down and done this, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of the major years are the years that eclipses happen, you know?
Right. So when I do a life contract with, you know, a lot of my clients, they'll go over to you right afterward. So they'll come to me for a life contract reading. Then they'll go to Christina for just like backup astrology, or vice versa. They'll go to you and then they come to me. They just want to make sure that they understand what those peak moments are, those big, you know, pivotal points or level up opportunities are in life. And it always matches, right? We've been doing this for like 13 years. But yes, I wonder if it's this eclipse.
I mean, they're game changers, you know? Yeah. So, and like, you know, you might be like, oh, that's not true. I didn't feel that eclipse. Well, maybe you didn't have a planet near that eclipse, but a lot of times, even if you don't have planets around the degree or like making an aspect, you'll feel it around you. You'll see it with other people. You know, if you're very observant. If you're somebody who's not observant, then you won't notice. But a lot of times you'll just see the action. You know what I mean?
Or it might not be, you know,
it might not be important to you, you know? But it might be,
you know, we should be open and mindful, because a lot of people are like, well, that didn't affect me. Well, you know, if you're also being stuck in your ways and life is always sort of the same for you, you know, then you're not giving into the flow of things. But eclipses have a way of coming in and forcing flow.
Yeah, I mean, they just affect everybody in some way, shape, or form. And then you look around at your friends or family and they might affect them too, you know? So, and even you can see like eclipses very often, especially like a lunar eclipse, you know, truth comes out. There's a lot of truth. There's a lot of like upset, like secrets come out, you know? It's just it happens, you know, people don't realize how closely related it is. If we didn't have eclipses forcing us out of our comfort zone, we would be stuck in the same spot to our detriment. So it's just like, it's forced change. Eclipses, you know, like we said, they're very unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen during an eclipse most of the time. We know the themes, and you can think about how they apply to your life. Let's see. Yeah, so and then the past eclipses. So if you want to go back to, especially if you're Aries, you want to go back to The last eclipses, April 19th, 2023 was one in Aries. And the lunar eclipse was May 5th, 14 degrees Scorpio. So those were the last eclipses we have. So the Aries might see some of the same themes come back, and Scorpios might see on the 28th, they might be, see some of the themes come back and kind of finish up when that eclipse hits. But for this October 14th eclipse is the one we're going to focus on. And I will read for each sign after we're done talking about the themes. So Libra, so because it's in Libra, Libra is all about balance. So think about relationships, right? Libra is also about relationships. So we have to create more balanced power in relationships. This eclipse is close to Mars and it's close to Mercury. So there's going to be a lot of action in one area of life for you. So Mars represents our action, also represents anger too. So, and this eclipse also squares Pluto. Now it's a wide square, but Pluto will be stationing at this point, making it kind of strong. So I would think that you want to watch out that you're not triggered. Or if you are triggered, you want to just be mindful of your response. Take a breath before you respond. And I know I have to take that advice as well. This will possibly be a purge of old relationship patterns that are toxic. Or that are, or even for some, it might be the purging of a relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean either that it has to happen on eclipse day. This can be it can happen right around the eclipse, but this can be a new cycle that we start because it's a new beginning and it's an ending. It's both at the same time. So you have to really think about, we'll go through each sign and also listen for your rising sign when I do that, because that's going to put it in the correct house for you and the house that will be lit up. So, and widely squaring Pluto, I think that there is a purge here, or an act of motivation to get rid of the toxic, maybe to look at something that's not pretty. Look at something in a relationship or, something that is creating imbalance in your life, and look at that and look at the toxicity of it and think about what you're going to do with it now. And Mars can be, when Mars is around, it stimulates a lot of action. Mercury's there, that's a lot of talking, a lot of communication. So you could hear things that could be upsetting. Somebody could say something that's upsetting. You might have to look at your own dark behavior when you're pushed. These are things just to be mindful of. The October 28th eclipse squares Saturn. So kind of a karmic frustration, might be some delays in that one. It's the ending of the Taurus eclipses. So it really is, Taurus thinking about what material things mean to them, how they are going to play a role in their life, and how they are going to be, with Uranus in that sign, how are they going to be free from being tied to money, to material things. How are they going to be different? How are they going to be free from that? And Taurus is really all about the senses and seeing the spiritual side of the senses or material things. Okay, so
Are we going to get started on each zodiac sign?
we are.
Okay, so Mary, our producer, I don't know if you're able to pop up who we're talking about, but if you can, that would be great. For those of you who are tuning in through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, if you want to switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy, you're going to be able to see everything. You're going to be able to hear Christina more clearly, because right now you're hearing her through a microphone. Okay. So switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy if you want. Now, I also want to invite you guys to post your prayer and healing requests, no matter what platform you're on. We are going to be praying and manifesting over those. Christina and I do every week. So go ahead and start dropping them now. Donations are always appreciated for Roots Revival. And if you guys want to post a question or a comment, we're an interactive church. So at the end of the service today, we will be taking your questions and comments. No need to keep being like, what about Taurus? What about Gemini? What about, she's going to go through each one. Okay. We appreciate the comments, but we're not going to be answering those because she's answering those. This will get published after. So if you're like, oh my God, what happened to my sign? It'll get published everywhere. All right. But again, YouTube at Ask Ivy, you're going to be able to hear Christina better and you're going to see which zodiac sign we're talking about because Mary will try to pop it up here. All right. Very good. So Christina, you want to start breaking it down for us? And right now we're talking about October 14th eclipse, correct?
Yes. October 14th eclipse. So we're talking about Aries. So Aries, this is happening for you in your relationship house. So we're talking about a new beginning and an ending in the relationship area. So this is committed relationships. This has to do with relationship status, like a new cycle or a new relationship. You could even be making a status official. If you're in a new relationship, you could be purging a toxic relationship, or you could be purging a toxic cycle in a relationship. There might be some discussion about the toxicity and how you can, how you can take action to that. Be careful, it could get heated. But conversations with romantic partners, also too, thinking about your legacy, because Pluto is squaring in the 10th house. So, you want to purge whatever is toxic from your legacy. You got to think, because eclipses are in your sign as well, the ones coming up as well. So Aries really has to think about setting the stage for the next, 18 to 20 years of their life. So they really have to try to get it as right as they possibly can now. We have Taurus. And for Taurus, it is in your 6th house of health and work. So you might be getting rid of something in the way of health, maybe a health habit. You might be purging that. Maybe your philosophy on exercise is changing. It definitely has to do with purging of philosophies because Pluto is in that 9th house. It could have to do with integrating more healthy patterns into your daily life, even health and wellness, mental, physical, and your work is all falling here. So there could be a new beginning in your work or your day-to-day. And yeah, there's just going to be a lot of action. So whatever's happening at work, there's going to be a lot of busyness going on during that time. You'll notice like an uptick in things happening. If you have clients or something like that, it might be time to get rid of the client and move on. Purge any negativity there. For Gemini, this is going to be in your 5th house of romantic partnerships, squaring the 8th house. So very interesting for Geminis because it almost looks like they're going to be purging romantic relationship, maybe trust issues. It could be a romantic relationship, or it could just be cycles, the way that you were in the past in romantic relationships somehow is being purged and there's like a new beginning. But there's also this, it's like there's a trust issue or an intimacy issue, and you sort of have to start a whole new cycle. You have to purge what your trust issues were, what your intimacy relationship issues were. And you kind of have to sort of start new, fresh, whether it be with the same person, a new person. But there's some kind of change here with romantic partners. Also, too, with Pluto just about to leave your 8th house, not a bad time for therapy, getting rid of all the toxic mind patterns, the self-talk. Eighth house sometimes can be self-talk and traumas that you've been through. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like clearing, you got to think about start clearing those out, and starting romantic relationships have to be sort of new for you, like a new cycle. Also, this could be creative projects as well. If you're not, if you're not interested in romance, also too could be children as well. So it's like, it's like purging away anything that was traumatic or toxic, and kind of starting a new pattern with this. Maybe, I don't know, with new beginnings. Cancer. So for cancers, this is happening in the 4th house. And this is me, Cancer rising. So this is happening like in the family house. And my daughter that day has she's a senior in high school, so she has her senior game. So it's like there's a lot going on for her, you know what I mean? So I can see it in my chart. But this is really about like your roots, your family karma, the family unit itself, the home area, and relationships. So there could be like, I don't know, you have to really kind of come out of whatever was sort of holding you back, family or house-wise, or like your foundations, your roots, and romantic relationships. Like somehow those are going to be triggered. Is there some kind of toxicity in your relationships that is affecting your roots, or what needs to change in your relationship so that your roots have a new beginning? So very interesting. You're going to see a lot of action right in the home area if you're Cancer rising. Leo. This is also me because I'm a Leo sun, but this is happening in our 3rd house. This really has to do with the way that we think. And it's like, thinking differently. Our philosophies, our conversations might be changing. There might be maybe like, it is square Pluto in your work sector or your day-to-day sector. This could have to do with like kind of like an unfairness feeling. There might be a lot going on with cousins, siblings, neighbors. But when I look at this, I think maybe there's sort of a purging of any like negativity with coworkers, purging of toxic cycles with your health, perhaps, trying to weed out what is bad. It also has to do with just, truth, having those key conversations, thinking about what your truth is now, because truth changes. And after Venus in our sign going retrograde and then coming out of retrograde, our truth is a bit different, and how we feel about ourselves and what we think is different. So those are where the key things will be happening. For Virgo, it's happening in the 2nd house. So 2nd house has to do with your earned income. It has to do with your self-esteem. It has to do with taking action on making a living, your material things. There could be a new beginning, and it's also squaring romantic relationships. So if there is a person that you're in a romantic relationship with and they are not seeing your worth, that might be a problem for you. And you may have to either chuck the person or chuck the cycle. Doesn't always mean you're going to break up with anybody, but it does mean that maybe something has to come out on the table. You have to talk about it. You have to look at it. You have to decide what you're going to do about it. You realize that you need romantic partners who are going to treat you as you are worth and aligns with where you are going. And if that's not there, that's probably not going to work for you. Okay, Libra. Well, Libra, it's most important for you because it's happening in your sign. So it really has to do with your body, your vitality. It has to do with a new beginning of who you are and how you are going to purge the old. And Pluto is squaring it from the third house. So it might be the way that you speak to others, or it might be, how you are seen by others, your communication with others. But there is something that you're purging in that area, and then it's becoming brand new again. And this is, remember, it's not a one and done. There are two more. There are two more eclipses in Libra. So by the end of 2024, that's when you should have the whole picture. But you want to make sure you're paying attention to this one. For Scorpio, it's happening in the 12th house for Scorpio. So for Scorpio, it's more on a subconscious level. This is like your subconscious thoughts that you are just really not aware of. It's like things that were ingrained in you as a child, but you don't really realize they're there. You just kind of count them as truth, and they might not be. So you have to look at those, you have to kind of look at those old mental thought patterns that need purging. Like, what needs purging? What are you thinking subconsciously to yourself that is putting yourself in your own way? And how do you get rid of that? Also, too, this is like the blind spot in the chart. So watch out for unexpected enemies. Sometimes unexpected enemies can get revealed here. So there's always that. Sagittarius. So for Sagittarius, it's happening in the 11th house, and that has to do with friend groups, who you are mingling with, who your acquaintances are, your motivations to be in social groups. And also too, so it's squaring Pluto in the 2nd house. So I'm thinking, like, if you're not feeling like you're in a group that values you, you might need to leave that group, or you might need to purge some people out of your group, or you need to start a new cycle with those acquaintances and groups. But you have to know your worth, and you have to make sure that the group that you're with is going to be cognizant of that, and that there's more balance there. You have to have that balance with your friend groups and just, your self-worth and your income. If you feel like you should be getting paid, if you're running some kind of group and you're not, you got to figure that out. Capricorn. So Capricorn, this is happening in the 10th house for you. Very important because, this is squaring you. And really, you want to think about your legacy. It is happening in the 10th house. So we're talking about your status as far as career goes, but your status as far as relationships go as well. I think we forget about this with the 10th house, but it's how you're known. A lot of times when you get in a relationship or you get out of a relationship, the 10th house is affected because it's your status. So we want to say, letting go of anything toxic about yourself that is sort of getting in the way of your status. You're in, it could be, as much as okay, I need to lose weight so I can, be faster and quicker at my job or something like that. It could have to do with the body, or it could just be internal things that are sort of standing in the way of, toxic patterns that you need to let go so that you can build your legacy. And just, more balance between yourself and your work. Don't forget about self-care as well. Aquarius. So for Aquarius, this is happening in the 9th house for you. So the 9th house has to do with broadcasting, philosophies. And I think for Aquarius, this is an important one because they have to look at the philosophies that they have developed through life. And because Pluto is moving into Aquarius, Aquarians are about to have a very big shift. It doesn't fully happen until 2024, November 2024, that Pluto stays in there. but there's going to be a lot of purging of their philosophies. So this is kind of like a purge and a new beginning. You might notice that your point of view is sort of switching a little bit. If you're an Aquarius and you broadcast, this is great for broadcasting because you're kind of getting rid of anything that I don't know. Maybe as an Aquarius, if you're in broadcasting, you might be exposing some things, maybe some things that are toxic in the reporting that you're doing. You might be changing what you're broadcasting. You have to look at your subconscious thoughts too and make sure that you leave behind what is ingrained and you go towards the new, because Aquarius is coming up upon that shift. And I know Aquarius has really kind of taken a beating the last few years, but I think once Pluto is fully into Aquarius, we're going to see, we are eventually going to see a lot of positive change. And lastly, we have Pisces. It's happening in your 8th house. So this is really kind of reevaluating, balancing your trust and friendships. There might be some friendships that you have to sort of get rid of. There might be acquaintances that don't have your best interests at heart. So you loaning money, if you're a Pisces, do not loan any money around this time to friends. It just doesn't mix unless you're prepared to not see the money again. Your investment or savings might have to be looked at and reconfigured. Go see, go see a financial person perhaps. Also too, there might be new beginnings in intimacy, or a cycle that, like maybe you're having an intimate discussion, like maybe we should move in together. Well, okay, and then like, how is that going to work? And, but we have to look at these toxic things before we can move in together. It could be like some kind of new beginning with intimacy. But you have to look at the trust issue, make sure that, that friends are not too involved in this intimacy, that you keep it private, and that you're purging any friends that do not have your best interests at heart. So the new can come in. So that is really the October 14th eclipse. Like I said, we can't really know 100% what's going to happen. But you do want to look at like the balancing act of where is my power versus other people's power, and how can I empower myself so that I'm not the one, who's losing my power. So that's really what we're looking at when we look at Libra. Any questions?
Well, I thought it was pretty incredible to hear you do a rundown on these, because the people that I'm closest to, you nailed it. I mean, that's what they're going through. That's what has just in the last week, I want to say, really become clear that they're going through. So I just think it's so interesting to know when an eclipse is about to happen, right? They say what the influence is, how many weeks prior?
Well, like 2 weeks usually, but there was an important thing with this eclipse. So this does not always happen. It's kind of rare, not rare, but rarer. But the eclipse degree is 21 Libra, right? Well, last week, I think it might have been like Tuesday or Wednesday, Mars hit that degree. So Mars stimulates, right? It's like fire, right? Going into, it was, because even though it got there before the eclipse did, it set off the eclipse.
Okay.
So that is why.
That's 3 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
to a T, everything
is exactly what happened.
I mean, I have literally had these identical conversations with these people, and they are ready. By the time the eclipse actually hits, I mean, they already know exactly what they need to do.
100%. And this week too, Mars is triggering, not to think about that, but I know that there is a Mars trigger this week as well. But if you noticed, so Aries was the full moon, right? And then we had the Mars trigger first, then we had the full moon. So it was like, 2 in 1. And Aries is opposite what the eclipse is. So it's like it was bouncing back and forth. So people were, things were coming out. People were getting angry and violent, and there was car accidents, and there was, you know what I mean? Like, and that was another thing for us Leos. We got to watch driving. But yeah, like, so it was, you could feel it this last week.
Yeah, I stayed in the house as much as I could. You could feel it brewing, and it's like, I mean, sometimes there's no hiding, but I would say for me personally, I've had several encounters. It just seems to just keep coming with, clowns approaching me, even people I've dealt with for many, many years, trying to take advantage. And I'm like, were you born yesterday? Like, what is this? What is this?
Like,
this is a joke.
And this is where, like, education, we have to start educating the masses. I really feel like this should be like in schools and stuff, because I work in a school and I see the kids are so affected by the energies, and they have no idea that they are affected by it. I mean, they just don't have a clue. They just think that that's them, and when, I can remember walking around as a child, not, like, I don't know, I was like 7 or 8, maybe 10. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And this just really makes more sense when you know that the energies affect you. You can at least get a breather, like a warning.
Right. Well, and in a situation where masks are coming off and truths are being revealed, for people to know ahead of time, this isn't your bad juju. This isn't your bad karma. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not bad luck. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you to see these ridiculous fools who you have allowed in your circle, who need to go.
Right.
And you can handle it productively. You could just maybe not let him in any further, or maybe you do have to, kind of confront the situation, but to know and be prepared ahead of time for that to start showing up.
Yeah. And just
absolutely priceless.
It's so valuable. And, like, kids are not self-aware. Adults aren't self-aware. So it's like, it's how can you go down your life path if you're not aware of this? Like, how?
I know. How are you alive? It blows my mind, right?
I mean, at least, and that's the thing with kids. It's good that they're kids because they can make mistakes, and then they can just, like, they're more moldable. But adults, once you get there and you're in a certain path and it's not your right path,
right,
it's really hard to get out of. An eclipse. And then in that case, it sort of is your karma. And then the eclipse comes to push you out of it. And then, you don't know what happened because you got too deep into something that you weren't supposed to be in the first place.
That's a good point. Thank you for saying that, because absolutely, it is actually your karma, right? And karma can be positive or negative. It's just really a question as to whether or not you're willing to learn and grow and maybe not make that mistake again, right? Or head in the right direction or put better boundaries on certain people or situations. Absolutely. It is.
Also just, just to feel like, all right, I'm going the right way here. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I think I'm on the right track here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I see people overwhelmed every day. I see kids just overwhelmed. There's so much stimulation right now, social media. It's like, a lot of stuff is coming out on social media too with violence. And this, like I said, like, there could be some anger and triggering during this eclipse. So, just be careful, be aware of your surroundings, try to, when we work with kids, we try to de-escalate situations. So, if you're in a store and somebody's, acting like a jerk, try to de-escalate because we don't need any more news stories. What I see on Instagram, oh my gosh.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that way. We can't control the eclipses, but we can make personal choices for ourselves.
Puppets.
Yeah, and I don't want to be anybody's puppet. I don't know why anybody would want to be. So I want to think for myself, and it's like, I think everybody should be able to have the opportunity to do that. So.
And are you doing October 28th each zodiac, or are we not doing that today?
Not each zodiac. Okay. We're just focusing on this one, but that one is kind of like to sort of sum up where we've been the last 2 years.
That's October 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Well, then we will get to questions and comments. Mary, if you want to start popping them up. For those of you who are tuning in late, if you have any questions or comments on Eclipse season, go ahead and post them now. We are an interactive church, so we're going to be taking those questions right now. Also, if you're tuning in late, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and drop a comment. Hit the bell for alerts for when I go live and post. And please do drop your prayer and healing requests in the comment section. Christina and I do pray and manifest over those throughout the week. All right. So our first question here is from the Beaker Files. Hi from New Zealand. All right. Hey, from New Zealand. Good to see you. We have another one here. I don't know if that's part of a question or if we're just giving shout outs. Mary, if we have anything else, let me know. Okay. Well, I see a bunch here it looks like I'm on YouTube. So I'm seeing some people saying, oh, now you tell me I shouldn't have lent money as a Pisces to a friend. Now you tell me, da 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 da. So it looks like we have some drama going on here in the comment section for sure. You know, we're all going to have something. I think that's why it's so important to also during a time like this, slow down, really slow your roll and listen to your gut instinct because, these changes, this exposure, the truths that are about to be revealed, right? The tests that are coming, we do know ahead of time. And you can feel it. You can go against your better judgments and suffer the karma, suffer the consequences of that. But hopefully you can minimize it, catching it as quickly as you can. And, you learn, okay, next time I'm not going to do that. I don't have to have proof of everything in order to just go with my gut instinct and say no, reject an opportunity or someone's advances or someone's requests. No, I'm just saying no. I don't feel it. I don't feel good about it in my gut. The eclipse season will teach you.
Yeah. And I think Pluto stationing October 10th, right before the eclipse, just going to make it more intense, So, because when Pluto's standing still in the sky, he's powerful. You are gonna see some toxicity and like how you have, there is going to be it will reveal itself. It will, and you have to figure out how to deal with it. So as long as you're prepared,
right?
Be always like you can't control it. You just have to kind of be prepared for anything and ready to step it up.
Step up to the purge
and just handle it the best way that you can. I mean, it's easy to say right now. When you're in the moment, you're like, okay.
That reactionary animal comes out. I know.
Yeah, but it's always better to take a breath before you react. Like that's the hard part, at least for me. People with tempers.
It's that Leo. It's that fire. It's that Gemini. I know. I saw cancers are the number one. We have officially made it to the top of the serial killer and prison list. So, I kind of always suspected that a little bit. But push us and find out, right? So if we don't have any other questions, Mary, if you're not popping up any other questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to closing words. Any words of wisdom here, Christina, before we go?
Just pay attention to the sky. Look for toxic traits, think about how you're going to deal with them in a healthy way. If you need therapy, go to therapy. Pluto and therapy go hand in hand. Shadow work, always a good thing. Even looking at if you see something in yourself that you don't like, do that shadow work, do that work. Be aware of people being triggered and mindlessly and try to de-escalate. And that's the best thing I can say.
Okay. 100%. I'm all about that. So I guess in closing, I would say that the biggest theme I've recognized just even starting a week ago, and it seems to be increasing, whether it be with my clients, my students, my friends, family, is the level of exposure coming from others around us who are trying to take advantage, myself personally, even. So watch for those people who are being exposed to you. This is your opportunity to kick them to the curb. You don't have to settle. If you do settle, if you allow yourself to be taken advantage of, if you go against your higher mind, your gut instinct, what you knew you should not have engaged in, a boundary that should have been set that you didn't set. If you do that, you are going to have karmic kickback and you're going to have to deal with the repercussions of it. So I would just highly recommend that everybody at this time be cutthroat. You see someone trying to do you dirty, take advantage, siphon your energy, siphon your resources, whatever it is. This needs to be the end of that once and for all. And I would say that if you're unwilling to do so, or you take what is a red flag and you put on rose-colored glasses and you sugarcoat it and you hold space, if you choose to do that, you've really got a battle going on within yourself.
Oh, God. Do they call them pink flags?
Yeah, right. And this is where we need to go in and we really need to be like, maybe it is time for some therapy. Maybe it is time to work on myself a bit more. Why do I keep letting, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it be losers in dating, or it be, friends who take advantage, or it be, people in business you knew darn well you shouldn't have allowed it, and you keep doing it. You got something going on within you. Okay, at the core. So it's a big grow up time in regards to relationship with self and others. I think, yeah.
I also think too, like, it's going to play out in the news because Libra does have a lot to do with politics, and I know there's a lot going on right now. I don't really keep up because it's too stressful for me.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So this is going to only, make it bigger. Yep. And lots of upset probably, but, and I don't know, this week is going to be tricky. And then with the Pluto station too. So on the 10th, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It is. It really is fascinating. Mm-hmm. All right. Inflammation, lots of material. All right. So everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. Sending you all our love and healing. Again, if you have not dropped your prayer and healing request, do so. Even if you're watching this video later, Christina and I do go back and we pray and manifest over those requests. Thank you, Mary, so much for producing. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Christina. We'll see you guys back here in a few weeks.
Thank you.